Greetings, YouTube. Last night, my wife and I watched City of Ember, which is a film that neither of us had seen. I had actually wanted to see it when I was at the theater and didn't get a chance to. It didn't last very long, which was kind of disappointing because I actually enjoyed this film. The basic storyline is a city is stashed away from the world. The world as we know it is ending. And so the powers that be put a bunch of people underground in the city, and with the plan to leave them there for 200 years. The concept being that after 200 years, whatever disaster it was that destroyed the world would have passed, and then humanity could return and reclaim the earth. Not an original concept, I admit, but it was a cool idea, and it had almost a Terry Gilliam-esque fantasy aspect to it. Not quite far enough over the top to be a full-blown Terry Gilliam's type film, but it still had a fairy tale quality that I enjoyed. And this film had some really good actors: Bill Murray, Tim Robbins, Martin Landau, and I thought they put in solid performances. I was also really surprised at the production value. This looked good. The sets were solid. I mean, there aren't a lot of special effects in the film, but what there is was well done. The costuming had about kind of a homespun, people living off of what the remains kind of a feel to it. People trying to survive in a city that is decaying. The place is collapsing, and one of the reasons it's collapsing is because they didn't leave after 200 years. The timer they have, why there was only one, I don't know, was lost. So they don't know how long they've been down there. Their food supply is running out. They're desperately trying to keep going. The generator that powers their city is failing. Every few days, every day, it's breaking down, and it's starting back up again, but they know if it ever breaks down for good, they've had it. And most of the people aren't even aware that they're underground in a city. They don't know what's out there in the dark. They just know that they're safe here, and they need to maintain things. And of course, there's a vested interest in those in power to keep things going because they want to stay in power. It's a story as old as humanity. And I really enjoyed this film up until the last 10 minutes. And in the last 10 minutes, it just kind of petered out. It kind of went. It didn't end on the note that it began with. It didn't end on the note that it carried out throughout the film. I enjoyed this, and I'm glad I own it. I think I paid like $4 for it at a sale at Blockbuster. I don't regret owning it, but this is definitely the kind of movie that I'm going to take the DVD out and put it into a DVD holder and throw the case away. I don't need to put this in my regular rotation. It may be years before I watch it again, but I probably will watch it again. And it's the kind of thing I could dump into a DVD player for a kid to watch, like in the 8 to 12 range, because the main characters are children. They're young teens. It's a coming of age story. We need to try new things. Our parents have given up, or they're not creative enough, or they've bought into the hype. But we need to break out of this. So they're the main characters, and that's one of the problems this film has. It doesn't really. I don't really know what audience it was aimed at, because it doesn't quite have what it needs to capture that age group. I think it's aimed at. It's targeted at. And I think it fails at that, which is kind of a pity because it looks beautiful. And I was just surprised. I was confused throughout the film, at least until the last 10 minutes, why this did not garner a bigger audience. There is one thing that I was a little confused with, and this is going to be a spoiler-rific comment here. There are times in the film where the main characters encounter animals. They encounter a moth that's got a 3-foot wingspan. They encounter a star-nosed mole that's the size of a VW beetle. I mean, it's a big mole. And there's an allusion, a reference to a real beetle, a rhinoceros beetle, that has a mandible this long. Okay? Big mandibles. The problem is that you can't have animals that big. You can't have a moth that big in our world. You can't have a beetle that big in our world. They don't work on a level of physical existence. You can't have a moth much bigger than the real moth. And the biggest real moth in the world are about yay big. I've seen one. They're cool looking. But you can't get bigger than that because insects don't have lungs. Insects breathe just by pulling air in through osmosis, essentially. So above a certain size, you can't have because they can't maintain their system. It just will not work. In addition, their exoskeleton structure is not built for a beetle size much bigger than this. That's the biggest beetle in the world. There's a reason that's the biggest beetle in the world. Evolution will not let them get larger with an exoskeleton. You need bones like we have to get bigger than that. So it threw me off for a while. I actually thought I thought the world had been shrunk down and these people were tiny, like this big, and that's how their world had been maintained. But in reality, they were normal size, and these freaky animals were just really big, and it made no sense. And that kind of bugged me. But this is a PG film, a little bit of, scary stuff in a few spots, but nothing bad. I think this is a great film for kids. I think any parent might want to run it through just one time, but it's a nice story. It's well acted. I really enjoyed it. It's just that the ending wasn't the best.